What's up, folks? Welcome back to the Best Show Ever podcast, the podcast where I interview people about the best shows that they have ever seen in their lives. I'm your host, Cam Herdt, and a pretty big week for the jam world. Listen, people are excited at the afterglow of Viva El Gonzo. People are even more excited about this massive announcement of GD60 happening in Golden Gate Park here in San Francisco. But I'm just excited about this week's guest on the Best Show Ever podcast. You have heard her voice before if you have listened to Phish Radio, channel 29 on Sirius XM. She is one of the hosts over there at Phish Radio. We've got Elisa Allechant here on the podcast this week. And Elisa, man, one of the coolest people in our community, lending her talents and her efforts to Phish Radio at Sirius XM. And you know, has brought me in to record with her while we were on the road recently in Hollywood. You know, was able to pull myself together and throw out a couple quotes for Phish Radio with Elisa. And, you know, her having me on, I was like, I would be honored to have you on the Best Show Ever podcast to talk about, I'm assuming, Phish. I'm assuming Phish gets brought up, and I assumed right. We do talk about some really good Phish shows in here, and some other music as well, if you can even believe it. But really talk about some good Phish shows. If you want to talk about your Phish shows on Phish Radio on Sirius XM, Crowd Control is something that Elisa is also trying to grab some people for, pull some fans in, and so they can get their stories told on Phish Radio. It's really cool to have that happen. I know that like not everybody in the world is on Instagram or you know watching podcasts or doing any of that stuff. And so the couple of times that I've gotten to go on Phish Radio, I've had old friends reach out who are not on any of that stuff, who I know are listening to Phish Radio, and they've been like, "Dude, I just listened to you in my car talking about Phish." And so it's a pretty cool thing. If you'd like to get involved with the Crowd Control on Phish Sirius XM, you got to get over there. It's phishradio at SiriusXM.com is where you'll email your submission to. Do that. We talk about that a little bit in this episode. Also, guys, if you've been enjoying the podcast, thank you so much. I really appreciate all of the support, all of the engagement, you guys commenting and liking the podcast, subscribing and all that stuff. All of that stuff really helps out with the algorithm of it all, just helping people find this podcast. And so thank you guys so much. If you'd like to become a member of the Patreon, it's $4 a month. You get access to all the episodes early. You get some bonus content on there from me. But guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode this week with Elisa. Please enjoy this. I'm going to get out of the way of the intro here. But first, here's a little bit of music from Loon. Maybe. Who knows? Who says I edit any of this? You know? Who says I'm a professional?
That's what I told my daughter. I sent her a text message and I was like, under no circumstances are you to come into my room right back there. Because I don't have editing control. And if you show up in your underwear online, I can't.
You'll get Final Cut before this. I'll send over the thing. You can look at it. No, thanks so much for doing this. This is great. I am so lucky to have the voice of Phish Sirius Radio on the podcast, man.
Aw, thanks. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah. How you been? How you been since tour? How's life?
Good. I'm about to make a big move from Central California down to Southern California. So I have been packing my house and preparing our moving boxes and getting it all done. My daughter got into UC Irvine, so we are all going to LA.
Wow. Congrats to her. Congrats to you
Thank
for getting down to LA again. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's where I wanted to go when before I had her, and circumstances kept me here in the Central Valley, and now it's perfect. I get to go down to LA with a friend instead of just by myself.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's going to be great. And like, that'll be so good for, I mean, you in the scene, seeing shows, there are so many things that are coming through LA all the time.
Yeah.
Do you have anything on the board for this summer after you move? For shows?
Not yet in LA. The next thing I have on the board is Golden Road Gathering, which is in El Dorado. So that's only about an hour away from me. I'm kind of just open to having my friends tell me like what's going on down in LA and start digging around into the local scene. I'm excited to be, because I'm not a musician, so I'm not there trying to make music. I'm an audience member, and so I'm someone coming down to spend money and make the scene. There was so much loss during the fires that I'm stoked I'm able to go down there at this time and like be able to support the rebuilding of the community.
It's such a great scene. There's so many cool venues and so many like tiny little venues that are historic and monumental in their own way. Like they're not a stadium, but it's like the Troubadour, it's like the Whiskey A Go-Go or something like that. Like these are little spaces. Yeah.
I'm stoked.
Hell yeah. Cool. Well, I'll have to come back down to LA and do some shows with you. We've done a couple. We've done a Phish cover band show, and we've done a Phish the real band show together a little bit. Yeah, like
3, almost all the Hollywood, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Did a bunch of hanging.
It was a good time.
And I don't know what shows we're going to get into because I did not look at your notes that you sent over like a pro. That's my process. Is doing nothing.
Well, that way you can be surprised.
Exactly. And I can't wait to be surprised. I really appreciate you having me on Sirius, Phish Sirius over the Hollywood Bowl run. It was like so cool to have like that be a part of that trip, felt Hollywood.
Yeah.
To be on.
I love having people come and chat. I've done it a few times during Dick's. It's awesome when I'm on a run and everybody else is on a run, and then they can come and talk about what's going on in their lives and what's going on tour. So I'm always excited to hear that.
You caught me as fresh as I possibly could be, like right after and right before a show. Like, yeah.
Yep. And early in the morning too. I do like early mornings.
Hey, I was there I was there early with bells on. It was like 10:30. It wasn't
on
that
time.
bad.
You were awesome.
It wasn't that bad. You had a cup of coffee waiting for me. It was excellent. And I would love to sit here and talk about Phish Radio all day long with you. I'm sure we could get into some very good topics with that, but that is just simply not what the show is about.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I shouldn't talk about that anyway.
Yeah, we'll. I'm sure that'll barely come up in your shows here, but this show is about the shows that you have seen as an audience member, like you said. And so, just to get right into it, what is the first show that you ever saw in your life? First concert ever?
My first concert ever was the Beach Boys.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 1986 in Arlington, Virginia, for the National Boy Scout Jamboree. My brother was just newly 18 and he was an EMT. You have a lot of that in my family. And he wanted to, as part of his Eagle Scout project, he went down there and worked as an EMT. And so my dad took the whole family down for that weekend. And we saw the Beach Boys. And the two things I remember most were that my mother would not let me eat the peanut M&Ms that were in the backseat of the car. She wouldn't let me do it. And then I remember like this exhilarating feeling of like, oh, look at all these people all singing along to the same thing. And I really think that was like the moment where I was like, oh, wow, like outdoor music, like live outdoor music is the way. Yeah. So I had a really good time there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like some of those first memories of like community and when you're a kid, if you went to like a fair or you went to like a street dance or something in your town and you're like seeing all the people in your town around out in public, that's one cool thing. But when everyone is all focused in on like one thing that's happening and you're a kid, you're like, wait, even all the adults care about this? Everyone's looking this way and paying attention? Wow.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah. And
that's definitely the spark.
You're not the only person to bring up the Beach Boys as their first show. I think both Goose Boys, Rick and Peter, that was their first shows. The Beach Boys have come up a lot as a first show. This is like,
yeah, I mean they're awesome. How can you not love the Beach Boys?
This is how you start a quality music career: is getting Beach Boys as a baseline and then moving from there. Yeah.
Amen.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Was that like? Was that close to your town, and is that also like something that you were like dying to go with your parents and you like begged them to go, or
I didn't know. I had no idea. Like we It wasn't close.
Yeah.
I'm from upstate New York, from Glens Falls, the Adirondack region. So
Cool.
it was several hours away. So it was quite a trip. It was one of those road trip kind of things that Dad did with us. And then, yeah, I mean, I just remember getting down there and being like, oh my God, this is wild. Cause it's just Boy Scouts and Boy Scouts and Boy Scouts everywhere. So, yeah, it was amazing. So no, not anywhere near my house, total wild experience, and did not see it coming. Just all of a sudden, like, we're in the vehicle and we're going.
Yeah, cool. Was that something that you were like, now I got to go see shows? Like, did you have things on the horizon coming up after that? Like, all right, now I want to go see.
No, the next one was New Kids on the Block.
Hell yeah. This is essentially, just so you know, Elisa, like a Beach Boys / New Kids on the Block podcast for the first half of a lot of these shows. Like, New Kids on the Block was the hot one. And
I mean, we're all about that age, I guess. The Gen X thing was totally, I had New Kids on the Block all over my bedroom. So that was the next one. But it really, like, my third concert was Phish.
Wow.
So that's what really blew me away. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because, I did a lot of Youth for Christ and Christian kind of conferences. So,
too,
I mean,
dude.
I guess I sort of, yeah.
Me too, dude.
There was another conference where we did between Phish and New Kids, where I saw DC Talk and Carl, all that stuff.
That would be my Chris Tomlins, my Jeremy Camps. Those are some of my first shows as well. They don't get brought up all that often, but those are some of my first shows as well.
Yeah, I kind of bury it deeply.
Right.
But yeah, so those are my third, and then Phish would have been my fourth. And that was like, this is a religious experience that I don't feel judged about at all.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, what show was that? Just so we're clear.
Oh, 7/10/94, it's back.
Man. I mean, we just got done talking about 94 with Jeffrey Nicholas Brown last week from the Blue Man Group, and talking about 94 again. Like, I think a lot of times people talk about 98 as like a peak, or 97 as a peak for Phish, but 94 is it's almost like a different band from those years. You're seeing,
and it's emergent, I feel like, for them. Like, that's a big year for them, when a lot of people discovered them. Obviously, people my age were like coming of age, able to get out. Some people grew up with parents that were hippies, but I did not. So
yeah,
it was a big discovery, turning 18 and finding Phish, and just, wow, there's this whole world of electric color and excitement that's tied to spiritualism. It isn't just about like eating bread and sitting in your chair.
Right. And getting it all right all the time. Like, you can be a freak. You can go lose yourself a little bit. You can even get lost in your own moment. Was that a group of friends that brought you to that, or were you?
Nope. I had found Phish in 93, summer 93. Someone had played them for me, and I went to the record store and got all their albums. Did not know about the whole live music Phish experience. Didn't even really know the Grateful Dead in 93. And so when WEQX in Manchester, Albany, Vermont said, hey, Phish is playing at SPAC, I was like, oh, I could go to that. And I bought 4 tickets and took my friends.
Wow.
They were not into it, but I was totally into it.
Wow. I mean, it feels like people are usually inducted into Fishdom. They're like, older brother brought me along. Mom and dad were really big fans. Or, this cool guy from high school that I wanted to be friends with was like, we're going. Or, but you were the cool guy from high school.
Called to me. Oh man, anybody who went to high school with me sees this, they're going to laugh really hard at that one.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, I
was actually the voice in the voice of the announcements in high school. So sometimes my high school friends who listen to Phish radio will be like, dude.
That makes so much sense to me. I don't know. I
can't shut up.
Same. I was, just so you know, I was also co-student body president my senior year of high school, and the girl who should have won, who should have been sole student body president, was not happy about me being in it, because I couldn't shut up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my contribution. Well, there's not always incredible concert experiences. We'll get into some of your best shows and maybe some of your honorable mentions as well, but do you have a worst show experience? Something that wasn't so inspiring?
I do, and it wasn't because of the music. I have never been to a musically bad concert. I love music. I've even seen like country music festivals that are super fun.
Yeah.
But when I was 11 weeks pregnant, before I knew for sure that I was pregnant, my baby daddy invited me to Oakland, Lake Merritt, to see the Scottish revels for Christmas. And there was very heavy incense, and there was bagpipes, and it was like an hour and a half trip from where I had been living in Boulder Creek. So it was a long trip, and I was so sick by the time I got there. I found out the next morning that I was in fact pregnant. Totally made sense. So it wasn't anybody's fault, but that was the worst concert experience I have ever gone through.
A lot of enduring going on in that show.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
A lot of bearing through it. Yeah. That's a first on the show. We have not had anyone who didn't know that they were pregnant at a show, and then that was the reason. So, and
experiencing bagpipes.
That's not okay. No one should have to go through that. Pregnant or not, you shouldn't have to go through
Amen.
But okay, so it's hard to pick your best show ever. You have been to so many good shows, and I'm sure that there are shows that are like now a part of your working career that were incredible. There are shows that opened the door for you before then. But to pick your best show ever is a very difficult task. Do you have any honorable mentions that you'd be remiss if you didn't bring up on the show?
Absolutely. The first one's going to be the one that told me you have to move to California. It was the Pepsi Arena on 11/25/98.
Wow.
And it was the first time I ever had a floor ticket. Like, I got floor tickets in the mail-in. I was just like so stoked. Like, oh my God, in my hometown? What is this? I think we were like 20 rows back. So it wasn't like super up front, but it was on the floor, and that just blew me away. And I had this experience where I just like during Caspian,
yeah,
I lifted up out of my body and like was watching the energy of the crowd flow into the band and then flow back out into us as a different transmuted energy. And it was so intense and so beautiful. And I just was like, oh, I got to get on that wave, and I'm going to ride it all the way out to California. And I don't know why that occurred to me in that moment. But I did. I left for California after New Year's after that. And the show itself, there was some Trey acoustic. That 2001 that opened the show was absolutely mind melding. You know, when a 2001 opens a set, you know,
you're in for it.
You're about to go off into space. So, and then they ended with Freebird encore or acapella encore, which was mind blowing.
So fishy and hilarious to end the show that way.
Play Freebird. Yeah.
They're like, no problem. We will give you Freebird. Like this. No, but I mean that experience that you're talking about of the energy exchange between the band and yourself and the audience and back again is something that anyone who is a major Phish fan or anyone who is a major fan of the live concert experience, I would say as a whole, is looking for that every single time they go because they felt it one time. They knew that they put their finger on it and they're like, oh, we're all a huge part of this, of like why this is happening the way that it is. And it's really hard to put a finger on. It's like really hard, but you know it when you feel it. And this band achieves that every single night. And I felt like you had a moment of that every night of this West Coast tour. And that's 30 years later now.
Oh,
like, you know, it's incredible that you can feel that. And it's pretty jarring. Like it's pretty, you know, it's different than any other presentation.
Religious.
It's totally religious, yeah. And with your religious upbringing, for me, I also was like in and out of this my whole life with the religious upbringing thing. But I'm really grateful for that now because I feel like that's what allowed me to help tap into those moments or like put a face to a name or like I know what this is. I know what this is. This is beyond like the notes here, or like beyond like the
Yeah.
time I'm having with my buddies, you know?
Yeah. It's a culmination of the experience. And someone I was interviewing yesterday for something we're doing on the channel later, said, really put it profoundly, and I'm not going to exactly have it, so keep listening to the channel to hear.
Right.
But they talk about how you have an individual, Phish is masters at the creating an individual experience that they are sending just to you, but it's part of the overall experience that we're all having at the same moment, and they don't do it intentionally. It's just, that's just how the magic happens. It's so incredible.
Yeah, it's almost like they arrive there at the same time we do, you know, like, or maybe like a second before, or maybe sometimes you get there a second before them. There's like this, there's this thing that they are not like, and then now we are going to connect with everyone individually in the room right now. Like, it just, at some point in the show, it happens to you, you know, or it happens to the people who you're around, or, and I don't know about you. I'm a crowd watcher. I love, you know, when the lights come up just a little bit and you can look across the crowd and see people having their time, or like having, or like just picking
I
out
love that.
one person who I'm like, oh, they got him right now.
Yeah.
They got that person.
I love looking around and seeing people in their moment, like doing their thing that like helps them with the energy. I mean, we're a very highly neurodivergent crowd.
Yes.
To begin with, so getting to see everyone else doing their moment, it makes you feel like so okay with yours.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause so many times out in the Muggle world, outside of Phish, like you do feel a little judged for being different, for, you know, for how you perceive the world. And even sometimes in the community, like, you know, you put your foot in your mouth. I've certainly have stepped in things I didn't mean to. And when that happens, once the music starts, we can all forget about that and just mold into this remembering that we're here for joy and gratitude.
Yeah, big time. Absolutely. And I sometimes if you're at a different show that's not a Phish show, you'll like, a moment that'll happen at a concert is everyone's kind of watching the show and one person is really having a great time and they're throwing their arms around, they're dancing crazy, and then the crowd kind of watches that one person, like, look at this, or at least the people you're around are like, look at this guy, like, freaking out right now, like, like admiring, but also maybe even poking fun at it a little bit. And then at a Phish show, it's like the whole crowd is that guy, and then there's
Yes.
one dude who's not.
There's one dude who's like
hand in the pocket,
and instead of staring at him, everybody's like, we need to love on this guy.
What do we do to get this guy out of their show?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, and that is something that draws you to the experience immediately. So that's crazy cool that was one of your first show experiences at Phish, and then now you've captured the experience so many times over. I mean, any other honorable mentions that you would throw in the hat there? Or?
I mean, I didn't put Big Cypress in here because I thought everybody would use Big Cypress, and if you've been to Big Cypress, it's like, oh yeah, you've been to Big Cypress. It just means I'm old, and
you can throw it in
I was
there.
really lucky.
It's a major moment in rock and roll history.
It was a huge one, but I'm gonna go with another '99 show.
Please.
A pretty profound one. It's from the Gorge, 9/11. Sorry about the dog back there. He's excited.
I can't even hear him.
Oh, perfect. Okay. 9/11/99. First of all, it was my first time at the Gorge. It was the second night there, but it was my first Gorge experience, and it was incredible. Just to see everyone, like, the way when everyone leaves the Gorge, it's like watching these, like, it's just watching everyone climb up out of a pit. It's so cool. And that particular show was when I really felt the experience of how Phish can also, like, there's probably extraterrestrial beings that enjoy Phish, and I don't know for sure. You know, never close your mind to the idea that other things can exist in other dimensions that we can't perceive.
Exactly.
But I do think, and I think other people have picked up on it too, that there is something really special about the Gorge, and that if UFOs, if extraterrestrial beings were gonna come to the planet to enjoy what humanity does, they're gonna come to the Gorge and see Phish.
Yes.
because it's a bunch of really happy, stoked people to be there that are dressed up and into it. It's an amazing light show on this magnificent piece of Earth. So, I mean, if I were an extraterrestrial, that's where I would go. So I had that moment at the Gorge in '99. It was also the debut of Sand, right? Yeah, it was the debut of Sand.
Wow.
So that was intense. And it just the Gorge just blew me away. I've only been there one more time since, but it is really a religious experience. Everyone should. It's a bucket list. You should go to the Gorge. Just be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that I have not been yet, but people have brought up the Gorge on this show. They're like, just because this was at the Gorge. Like, I have to bring up this experience because it was so incredible. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, hey, super far from where you're from. That's like way on some other end of the country in this beautiful setting. You're out in the middle of nowhere, really. And like you said, that would be like a perfect experience. I mean, there's plenty of times I've been at a Phish show where I've been like, oh, aliens would love what Paige is doing right now. They would love
Yeah.
this weird little section. But that is a pretty perfect setting of, yeah, all of these incredibly happy people on the, in this amazing setting, watching this band do it live and,
Mm-hmm.
open it up live.
Yeah. So
Worth it.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't have any proof, but people believe in all kinds of things. So I'm going to think that extraterrestrials are enjoying Phish and CK5.
Well, and I'll know what
And
show
Andrew.
to show them.
Exactly. 9/11/99. That was the night.
99. Incredible. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say we could go over Phish experiences all day long. I'm sure that you've got even more Phish experiences that you want to bring up. Maybe before your best
105
one.
shows now.
I mean, come on. Let's go through every single one of them. All right.
I don't think I can remember them all.
That's fair, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other ones that are maybe not your best show ever, but like coming right up there?
No, I mean those were the top two.
Yeah.
I mean there's been a lot of other great ones. It's hard to kind of pinpoint, especially like, you end up, I remember a lot of the feelings that happened in those moments more than I really have to go back to phish.net to look at the set list and go, oh yeah, that happened.
And there are certainly the set list podcasts where we're going to go through every single jam and we're going to break it down that way. This is the Feelings podcast. You can talk about the feelings that you felt that night at the Gorge. Like, what was kind of going on for you at that show?
Just gratitude. Like that gratitude has always been a really heavy theme for me with Phish. Like from the very beginning when Glide. We're glad that you're alive. Like that, when I first heard that song, I was like, oh, this band really loves their fans. And that was super early on. And it's only grown, especially since Trey went through recovery. It has only exponentially grown on how much the band is about gratitude and being in the now and really feeling the experience. So that was really what I was having at the Gorge, is like being here in the now. And I was adjusting to just having moved to California at the time too. Mm-hmm. And I was going through massage school. So it was a big shift in my energy of like Christian Republican leaning. I had gone to school for journalism. I had left the opportunity for an internship with ABC, like all these things because I wanted to be a hippie. And then I came out to California and I found like what I needed and then rebuilt from there. And Phish was a big part of that, of like helping me see where I fit in and like what was possible in this world that I wasn't supposed to be meant for a normal track of journalism or whatever, that something was different in what I was supposed to do. So
yeah, and I
thank Phish for that.
You are someone who is so incredibly again, well prepared, professional. We know that about you now. I get that. I feel the same way in like my own pursuit here. Like this wasn't necessarily on the board to be like running a podcast and doing fish humor online. Like I've focused very hard on other ends of the comedy spectrum, like the ones that are actually happening in comedy clubs and like getting
Yeah.
on TV and all of that kind of stuff. But there is something that like, when something feels right, and there, when something is worth following. You're like, of
Hmm.
course that internship would be a great opportunity. I don't think anyone who knows about journalism or doesn't know about journalism would say that that isn't a good opportunity. But you had this feeling, this intuition, this gut instinct of like, this is who I want to be, though. It's going to be very hard to be
Hmm.
who I want to be within that sort of an arena, or I just know that I'm a little more, not to go back to the religious thing, a little more called to this
Yeah.
than I am to anything else. I'm like, who are you to not follow that? You would have been wrong to not follow that. And then
Yeah.
that gratitude thing, I mean, I know that as a fan now. Like, I have been a Phish fan my whole life and spent a lot of time listening to a decade of music that I cannot go back and see, in the 90s. But I leave every Phish show now being like, I am just so grateful that these guys are
Hmm.
still at a place where I can go see a show and it's like unbelievable. Like, I feel lucky often. And so, yeah, and then that feels to be like a feeling that they cultivated for a long time amongst their fans.
Yeah. I mean, you see it in things that they say and do all the time. Like, and the song more, like, it's really about mindfulness oriented recovery enhancement, and that's the things that you do outside of, well, for the 12-step program, it's the things that you do outside of that to help enhance your recovery. But if you're not in recovery, then what it can really mean is like, what are the things that you do outside of Phish that like bring you joy as well? So there's a lot of that too, like the gratitude that you get in the show, the gratitude that you feel for being able to be there needs to come out of the show. And what are you doing outside of the show to make this a better planet, to make you a more healthy human? Like, none of us are perfect, but what are we doing outside of Phish to make the community of Phish better and to make this planet healthier?
Yeah, I mean, you have to take that home with you, that whole experience home with you. It's not just that you got the bust out that you were looking for in Seattle or whatever. You have to take all of that light and joy that you kind of cultivate, or it gets cultivated in that room, and then spread it to the coffee shop guy that doesn't listen to Phish, but you talk to every single morning, or if you pop into you get your hair cut and you are around the barber shop and you like want to talk to those people. Like, you have to spread that light out to everywhere and not just go back to your house and throw your headphones on and like just listen to
Yeah.
Phish all day long, like
Yeah.
spread that a little bit. It's
Yeah.
point well made.
I mean, we earned getting to see Phish for sure. Like, it's a reward to get to go and see them, but it's also a privilege
Yeah.
that a lot of people aren't in that position to be able to earn to go to there. So we just have to remember all the time, like, how privileged we are and how lucky we are to be able to see this band and to be able to have these opportunities. It's just so great.
Oh
I just
yeah.
love Phish so much.
Same. I speaking of like opportunities, like the opportunity to see a whole West Coast run, like based off of some of the stuff that I've done over the last couple of years here, every show I'm sitting at being like, man, there are so many people I know who would kill to be here right now, who would kill to be at the Hollywood Bowl, or, at the first Portland show in 25 years or whatever. Like, they would, massive Phish fans. And I try to keep those people in the front of my mind whenever I'm at a show, just being like,
Yeah. Because we're all in this together. Like, even when you're not there, if we're still there, we're all a community. We're all together.
This is something that I text my friends all the time. And it's easy to do it when you're at a show. You're like, dude, you're totally here right now, just so you know. And they're on their couch like, yeah, man, that's great for you.
Thanks a lot.
But they totally are. Like, I mean, and I felt that specifically in Mexico when we were hanging out. Like, that's such a premium experience that I'm like, man, I've got some Phish friends, some Phish people who showed me all this stuff that would kill to be here at the Sphere, like, oh man, remember like specifically during What's the Use, like there's the particle ball scenario where that came down and created the band. And I'm like, oh man, there are so many particles that should be here right now. There are so many Phish particle people who should be in this room.
I know.
Experiencing
I wish
this.
the sphere was gigantic.
Yeah.
I wish we could have all fit in there because that was amazing.
Yeah.
I feel really lucky to have seen so many amazing shows over the past years, but there's also a lot, like being West Coast was a choice.
Yes.
So there's a lot of, I think I've only been to MSG a handful of times.
Yeah.
So I've yet to see an actual New Year's there. So, there's a lot of things that I do miss being on the West Coast.
You and me both.
Yep.
You and me both. I have not done the New Year's MSG either. It kind of feels, when you tell people from the East Coast that, they're almost like you haven't seen the band. They're like,
yeah,
can't wait to take you to your first
you don't
show.
know about my speaker system at my house, okay? And how good it is to be in bed by 10 o'clock on New Year's.
It is that. It is totally that.
It is nice.
Yeah. I'm like, Hollywood Bowl. They're like, yeah, no, I don't want to hear it.
It's not the same. It's pretty nice though.
Like I said, you did such a good job of putting together notes for this episode. I did such a good job of not looking at the notes because I always go in blind to these. Do you have any honorable mention shows that happen to be not a Phish show? And if you don't, that's okay. Because
I've seen a lot of music. I didn't think of anything that weren't Phish, but I would have to say I saw Ani at the Greek back in 2001. Like soon after the towers fell, and that was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't soon after, but it was after the towers fell, and she did the We Are All Just Poems. I can't remember what the We Are All of Us Poems is the one she did about the towers falling, the spoken word. Oh, so good.
I mean, powerful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, she was really just absolutely she just shook me to my core. Really, really powerful female artist. And every single time I have seen LPGOB, I feel like I am transported to outer space.
Yes.
She is such an amazing light. She is so talented and gracious. She just beams beautiful energy. She's like Stevie Nicks behind the board. I love to watch her play. I dance the entire time. The only time I've ever gone to after shows, every single time, is at Sphere, to the Brooklyn Bowl afterwards, every night going to see her because it was on the way back to my hotel room. I was never tired. She's amazing. And what she does for the community for women and transgender women and women of color. She has the whole Femme House where she is providing music instruction for how to get into the business, how to make and mix music, and that's all available at free for people who need it to be, and at cost for if you can afford more. It's just absolutely amazing what she's doing. She's so young and she's such a powerhouse.
Yeah.
So I can't, like, the things she's going to do in the next 30 years are just unbelievable.
Yeah, we're lucky for her to be a part of our scene in a huge way. I mean, like in the small way of like, it's great to have community after a show and go somewhere fun and be with maybe some of the people who you weren't sitting with at the show. Like that's in the smallest way that she is a cool thing for this community, like doing the after show thing. But yeah, she is such an incredible light for anyone who sees her. You know, like I showed my girlfriend Jess is much more into like the house music scene, DJ scene than she is into the jam band scene. And I was like, you should check out
LPGOB.
I think you might like her. And now we've been to like 5 shows and she's obsessed, like fully obsessed.
She's been to one more than me then.
Yeah. I mean, like, and going to those shows, you walk out being like, that person is on fire. That person who is behind the decks right now is like this on fire individual who I want to keep up with no matter what. And luckily she's like very driven, doing very cool things in our community that is sick to follow up on, like the Femme House movement that she's got going on. And
Diplo's Revolution on Sirius XM. She does, Femme House has a whole thing that they do on there. So you can check it out there too as well.
And they should. She's just, I mean, she has gone so far past the post-show jam thing. Like she is now, I mean, she performs all over the world. She's got crazy cool festival slots, and yeah, she's like putting on all these artists while her own career is still popping off. It's very, very cool to see, and like
Yeah.
lucky for our scene to have someone like that in it for sure.
It's better to always bring people up with you.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's no fun to go up there alone. Bring everybody up with you.
Oh yeah. It's not like there's no pie chart where like now she's taking too much of it. Like she's like, there was
Mm-hmm.
no pie chart, and now I have to create this community for people. And
Yeah.
so, and
It's like loving your children. It never stops. You've got all the love for all of them.
abundance, baby, abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I mean, for her to forge ahead in a scene of people who really likes guitars, really likes drums, really likes dudes playing in a band. We really enjoy that in our scene, and she really pulls our heads out of our asses in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Shows a cool presentation of music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's awesome.
She is awesome. Do you have a best show ever? It's very hard to pick. The best show you've ever seen in your life.
Best show ever is the Golden One Center on 10/15/2021.
Yeah.
And the reason isn't just because of the amazing bust outs that we will talk about afterwards, but the biggest reason is it was so many. First of all, before I was with Phish Radio, my ex-partner and I had seasons tickets for the Sacramento Kings. We went from the Arco Arena to the Golden One, and for a long time, the Golden One was serving a spicy chicken sandwich on a donut. And I kept like tweeting to Phish, like, why are you not playing this place? There's a spicy chicken sandwich on a donut. Like, what is? And so, and then in 2020, after COVID, they took the spicy chicken sandwich with the donut away. It was no longer served at the Golden One. But then Phish shows up and decides they're going to play in 2021 after the pandemic. My birthday is October 11th.
Wow.
I have a very close girlfriend here in Sacramento who is this amazing, powerful, beautiful woman who does radiance coaching. Like, she's just awesome.
Cool.
Her name's Eliza. And it's her birthday as well on the 14th. And she's seen a few Phish shows. So I arranged to, with some other friends, to get a suite at the Golden One. And
hell yeah,
we all went in on it. We had a taco party and there was cake and lots of, White Claw and Modelo, and it was a really, really good time. And so because of the pandemic, I made friends with a lot of new people through some Facebook groups. And we became really tight doing Zoom groups. A lot of people did that. You made really close friends during the pandemic. And so when this came up, I was like, hey, who's coming out? And our friends came from all over the country to see that show that opened up that fall tour. And it was a couple of my friends all the way back from when we toured together in 99, and friends from the pandemic and friends from Sacramento, and celebrating 2 of our birthdays. It was just so magical, and we just sat there, and like Phish was like right down there in front of us.
Yeah.
It just so magical. And then of course they did they played Brother, which that was my first Brother. And then they did and in second set they did And So to Bed from the White Tapes, which like everyone was like, what is going on? Like, just what? So that was amazing. And what else did they debut? They did that was it. That was the only one they debuted. But the Brother one, that was absolutely amazing. And of course they encored with Sand, which is always one of my favorites. Yeah. So that experience.
You cannot replace having that kind of a group around you at a show. Like that is just that was a little bit Portland for me on this last run. Of course, there were great shows on this run that are like maybe rated a little higher than the Portland show. And in that fall 2021 run, that's an amazing run for Phish. There's so many good shows in that run, but you cannot replace like the experience that you had with your group of friends in that scenario at that show. I mean, that is That's what we all want. We all want a big group of 20 of our best friends from all over the country to show up to our town, and like maybe it'll make a little more like if you live in LA and everyone flies in for a show, that's awesome. If you live in a big city like New York and everyone's flying in for MSG, very cool. But everyone came to Sacramento, to the Golden One Center, to be with you and your friend for your birthday, and make that a special night. Like you said, like that, they could have played all the bust outs or whatever. That's still the most important part of that show,
Yeah.
Having those people.
Yeah, and it was so wild. Like I had just started with Phish Radio. I wasn't even a year in, and like they're coming to my town. Like, how did that happen? That was amazing.
They really do know what's going on in your mind. Sometimes they really do. They're like, oh, yeah, congrats. We'll just come to your town and play the party.
That song was very true. Like sometimes, like we listen to what's going through your mind, and I'm like, that they're not kidding about that. They actually they can tap into it, guys.
I've been saying that since I've seen the band. I'm the guy in the crowd who's like, we were just talking about this in the car, and now they're playing Piper, and they're in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's the Phish algorithm.
Yeah. They just know. They've calculated everybody's shows in the room. They know what's going on.
They've done the math.
They're really just great at math. That's really all they are. Is a band that's very good at math. Yeah,
well, isn't that all that music really is? Music is just a lot of math.
It's a lot of math, and that's why I'm so bad at music. That's why good.
I just appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm just a fan of all the math. So, and then in that time, you've just started now working for Phish Radio. Has that changed the way that you go to shows at all? Is it a different experience now than before?
It is. It's a different experience in that I am working. I have to take notes, and I'm always going to be hyper aware of what's going on. It's a little different now to being recognized by people I don't know.
1000%.
That's very. Yeah, it was happening like crazy to you in Hollywood. That as I'm kind of awkward in person, and so it's sometimes really awkward for me when people think that I have this personality on the air, and then when you meet me in real life, I can be really awkward.
I feel the same way. Which is
why we get along, right?
I feel the same way in the funny thing. Like I'm like, people will walk away. I'm like, nah, I don't think I was that funny for that person. Not that I have to be, whatever. I do that on the internet, and when I'm at a show, I'm like in a very different headspace. But yeah, it is. There's like an expectation, or you at least a perceived expectation when someone meets you that they're gonna. I mean, they're in their car with you all the time. They hear you all the time. They feel like they maybe know you a little bit, and you are just meeting that person.
And you don't think about that. Like I don't. It doesn't occur to me that that's. I forget. I forget that, that famous people might even be listening. Like I'm just here in my studio with the cat at my feet talking about Phish.
Same here. I am just walking around my living room, making fun of how I feel about a show that I didn't go to. And like it is, you were saying this before about what we bring to the Phish experience, what we take away from the Phish experience. Really, and I know this about your pursuit too. I am just looking for some way to contribute. I don't. I don't make art. I don't play music. I don't do audio. Reconstruction. I am a comedian, and so I wanted to contribute to the scene with some bits. That's like the way that I wanted to contribute. And I am not necessarily looking for like pat on the back or a gold medal or a big sign on my back that says here's the guy that does bits, and say hi to him at the show. Same thing with you. Like you are a lifelong Phish fan. This is an experience that's deeply, deeply personal to you. It's not like you're like, and now I'm at the show, everyone say hello to me. Like it's still surprising, when that kind of stuff happens.
It's humbling. I'm super, super grateful that I come from a pretty humble background. I'm not wealthy. I don't have, a lot of generational wealth or anything like that. And so I'm really, really grateful that even though as a single mom in California, I'm still able to, because I can use my voice to spread the love and light of Phish, that I get to go to the shows. Like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. And I appreciate every one of you who listen. Even if you just listen to the channel and turn my voice off, that's fine too. I know there's people who do it. And as long as you're subscribing, I don't care.
Listen, there are people who watch this podcast for the guests and they get through the host. And I understand that.
Yep.
I fully
Yeah, you can't be everybody's cup of tea. It's all good.
Exactly. I was meant to have, I wanted to have my brother on this podcast because he really takes the piss out of me a lot. And so for people who don't necessarily like what I do, they would love what my brother does, which is making fun of me. And so, but it's just me and my, and my little pursuit here as a Phish podcaster. But I really appreciate talking to someone who is in the radio space, someone who is like, I mean, Phish radio is such a huge part of the Phish fandom. There's so many Phish fans who dive into that. And like you said, like you just don't realize who's listening. You have no concept for that. It's just like, got to do the show,
Yeah.
Do you have anything, I know you've got some interviews coming up and you've got, some cool guests that you're going to have on. Do you have any shows coming up that you're going to be at that you'd like to plug?
Of any kind? No, I'm not. No, it's just I'm not working on any new shows to be on. Just have the Golden Road Festival coming up. We're working on some exciting. We're working on some exciting crowd control episodes coming up, and really would like more of you to contribute your crowd control episodes. I know sometimes it can be overwhelming to choose 5 songs and then have to talk about them. And honestly, if you want to do a crowd control episode and you are feeling nervous about it, reach out to me on social media and I will be happy to help you do it. I love hearing people talk about their stories with Phish. And I know that people are nervous sometimes, like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want people to judge me. And like, sometimes if you're having a Zoom conversation with me about it, I've done that with a few people. It becomes less of I'm talking to a huge audience than it is like, I'm just telling this person about my experience. So if you want to do a crowd control episode, reach out to me via social media and let's see if we can work out a Zoom time to do it.
Oh, I really hope people take you up on that because I feel the same way when I ask people about the podcast. I kind of forget that people sometimes would rather not be recorded, or sometimes they are just nervous about being on any platform at all, big or small. But the people who have been nervous to come on the show and have decided to just say, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway, have been really, really great episodes and have that now cataloged. It's in the can. Like you've got that somewhere that lives somewhere. Your importance of these songs, your feeling around them. And if you really took some time to sit down and like write about it, I'm sure it would be a beautiful, beautiful story. So yeah, anyone listening to this, please take Elisa up on that offer. Like,
please.
Please. And that's all I'm trying to do here on the show too, is just kind of capture these moments that we've felt, put some sort of word to it. It's hard to put a finger on what happens at a Phish show at the Gorge in 1999, but at a minimum, like we can at least try to talk about that, and then you can go back to it. You can listen to that later on in your life, and then these moments are talked about, and it's not just the recording of the show, which is also an important thing,
Yeah, it's the ripples.
It's the ripples, yeah. And as someone who was on the show, I haven't done crowd control quite yet. I haven't done the 5 songs, but
I'm working on it. Working on getting on.
I was taken care of as a guest very well by Elisa. It was a lot of fun. You make it fun to be on the show because it is a nerve-wracking thing. It's freaking Sirius radio, dude. But anyone who's interested in that. Seriously. that was my chat with Elisa. Fantastic fish fan. Awesome, cool person to have on the podcast. So honored to have her chatting for an hour with us. Like I said before, if you want to get involved with the crowd control episodes and submissions, Fish Radio at SiriusXM.com is how you can put your submission in for that. Like I said before, guys, if you want to give this podcast a like or a subscribe, or you want to rate it anywhere, leave a review, all that stuff really helps out with the algorithm of it all. And so I really appreciate any support in that way. And until next week, guys, have a great show.